I didn't see you there. You guys ready for that Q&A that I promised a week ago? Let's do that, shall we? Oh, that's a much better setup. I've got all the questions that were left on my video right here. And I tried to organize them in a way so that it would, make the most flow sense. So I did try to source everyone. If there was a comment there that I didn't see, I'm very sorry. For some reason, the app just will get rid of comments. Question 1, how was your day? Adam the Witch asks, how was your day? The day is just beginning. Hopefully it's a good day. I have the day off. Hopefully it's a good day. Question 2, Darklord12358 asks, what is your least favorite aspect of the craft? Referring to witchcraft, obviously. My least favorite part of the craft, if we're talking about the movie, is the hair color changing scene. But, jokes aside, I am not a huge fan of color coordination. I really clinged to color associations at the beginning of my craft because it was something that was in one of my beginner books. So I did like the whole trying to wear specific colors that were associated with specific days or specific desires or things you wanted. I'm not super into color things because I have a very specific color palette that I like for my wardrobe. I know that color has some very important, powerful associations. Like for candle magic, I do use associated colors, but I've never put a lot of weight on it. It's hard to say least favorite. It's just not something that I resonate with. Is that a better way to put it? Question number 3. There we go. 1579 Witchy Woman asks, what is your favorite thing about the craft or being a witch? Okay, so this is just the flip side of the other question. My favorite thing, honestly, is the freedom that I felt when I started practicing. Because it put the power back in my hands. I've mentioned before, I come from a very strict Christian background. Everything was very much it's in his power, it's in his will, and witchcraft is about human willpower. And that was what was appealing about it for me. Witchcraft puts the power back in your hands. So if you felt powerless as a Christian, that's kind of where I came from coming to it. So in general, willpower. That is my favorite thing about witchcraft. Question number 4. Blake_is_typing. I love that username. Asks, your favorite part of practice, or a favorite practice, favorite specific practice. If we're talking traditions, I don't have a ton of experience with divination, but it fascinates me. I do some divination, but I never have felt like it was my strong suit, if that makes sense. But I love researching it. It's one of my favorite practices to watch other people do. So divination, by far, my favorite thing. Question number 5. Caden_lion asks, how did you get into the craft? Oh, this is an excellent story. So getting into the craft was actually prompted by a friend of mine who practices Norse paganism. We had several religion talks. At the time, I was agnostic or atheist. I really didn't know, to be honest, but I had separated myself completely from Christianity about 2 years prior. I was at odds with my feeling about greater powers, but I had always been intrigued by witchcraft. Him and I actually had a very long conversation about groups of witches that specifically work together across different traditions that he worked with to help make the world a better and safer place. I really don't want to go into too much detail because it's kind of a weird thing to talk about, and it kind of makes me sound crazy, I think. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that I feel like the non-witchy folk do not know about, to be frank. So after having this conversation with him, I decided that I wanted to pick up a book. And I picked up How to Become a Witch, it was like a beginner's guide book. And I read it front to cover in a single day. That is how I started my craft. I've always wanted to help people. That has always been my goal with witchcraft, is to help people. Question number 6. Anna Tora Albop, I don't know how to say that. I just spelled it. Asks, do I believe in God? Before I had started practicing, I would have said no. But through practicing Wicca, which is what my first association with witchcraft was Wicca. I no longer identify as Wiccan, but I practiced Wicca for 5 years. Wicca believes in the idea of deity. Deity is the idea that through human belief and human will, all things exist. Every god of every major pantheon exists, and that does include Christianity. So I still believe that. I just believe that deity has to appear to different cultures in different ways to be accepted. God is included in that, but God is the same as every other god or deity to me. That is just my viewpoint. So yes, I do believe in God, actually. Just, I don't particularly like the people who worship him. But that's none of my business. Question number 7. Miss At Attack asks, what is your favorite meditation style? Okay, I really like this one. I have struggled with meditation for years. I only recently found something that I liked. For a long time when I first started practicing, I did chakra alignment meditation. And it had its worth. It helped me learn how to ground, which was really, really great, but I have since kind of moved away from chakra work. So my current meditation style is I actually go into corpse pose because it is one of the easiest ways for me to relax. And I also use the breathing method from the Wim Hof method, which I have talked about a little bit. I'll lay in corpse pose on my back with my palms up, and then with the Wim Hof method, you breathe really sharply in and out to oversaturate your body and your lungs with oxygen. After a cycle of about 30 to 40 breaths, you breathe all the way out and then you hold your breath. This is at that stage, that's when I actually start the meditation. I meditate with my breath hold. And I can meditate, some people in the Wim Hof method that are very experienced have used this technique to hold their breath for up to 5 minutes. I have not reached that point. I have only recently broken the 3-minute mark for myself. So I can meditate in this state for 3 minutes, and it feels so much more still and uninterrupted because I don't have to focus on anything, not my breath, nothing. It's very interesting. So that's my meditation technique, and I'm sure it is very different than some other meditation techniques, but it's what works for me. Question 8. Morgan Lindemann asks, how do I cast a protection spell on an apartment? This is actually a great question. A protection spell on an apartment is particularly difficult because the space is not yours and you do not own it. But you do want to protect it because you live there. I lived in several apartments and I actually never was able to do a protection spell on the location. All I could really do was myself. It kind of felt like I didn't have permission to do it on the space because it was not mine. So I feel like the better answer to this question is how to do a protection spell on yourself. I do have several videos for that on my channel, but I'll go over it really briefly. When you meditate or you do any kind of morning meditation or exercise, it is good to visualize like a small sheen around yourself, like a shield. This is a great self-warding, and I use it for daily practice. I ward every single morning, and that could be a lack of trust, But trust me, I know the difference when I don't ward, because I've forgotten once in a while. So again, unfortunately, with an apartment situation, it's not so easy to put a protection spell on. You could do a jar, because that's a removable item from the home, but I just don't think it's going to have the same potency, because it's the landlord's space. It's very difficult. I'm sorry. Question number 9. Belle Eva Lentine 20? I'm sorry if I'm saying these wrong, guys. I'm the worst. I have a roommate who is opening portals and dealing with stuff that they shouldn't. Any advice? Oh boy, do I resonate with this question. I literally just dealt with this. So, quick story, I guess. Me and my husband had taken in I hesitate to call them a friend because we weren't friends at the time. But someone we saw struggling that we were hanging out with. We offered them a place to live so that they could get out of their home situation at a cheap rent cost and go to college. And then they expressed interest in the craft. I was assisting them. I was doing a little bit of mentorship, trying to teach some of the basics and answer some of the questions. I loaned them my book, like a whole bunch of stuff. And then they started talking with something they called Talil. And I still don't know what it was, but I didn't trust it. And it was in my home, and I did not vibe with that. I would make this somewhat akin to opening portals. Okay, so someone who is dealing with shit that they shouldn't be dealing with, the first thing you can do is try to talk to them, express your concerns, because they are putting more than just themselves in danger if it's in your home or in a shared space, as it were. If you feel threatened, you need to tell them to stop. If they refuse to stop, either you leave or they leave. That's really the end-all be-all of it. You might just have to give them an ultimatum. There's really not a lot you can do to combat another practitioner choosing to open things. But in the end, your safety is what matters. They can do whatever the hell they want. But the minute it affects you, that's not cool. But sadly, in the end, you can't really do anything. There's no counters other than just doing self-protection spells like I already talked about in the previous question. So that's really all the advice that I can safely give. I hope that helps. Well, that was all of the questions that I had. I didn't have a ton, but I'm okay with that. It's still a long video because I'm a long-winded individual, as I warned. But I wanted to say thank you for 10K. I have only been posting on this app for a month. I think I started end of January, and there's already over 10,000 now. Like, by the time I'm posting this, I think I hit 12. And I am unbelievably grateful. And I want to do more with this channel, and I want to do more with my practice that involves you guys, whether that be possibly opening up a small business or tarot reading or consultations to people. I don't know if I feel comfortable giving it for money, though. That's my only thing, because I understand people do that, but I don't know if my services are worth that. I'm looking into it. There may be, I feel comfortable selling physical items. If people want charms, if people want, the necklaces that I make, I am more than open to doing that if people wanted to message me and let me know what the interest for that would be. That would be super helpful. But once again, thank you. Thank you so much for 10K. I really do appreciate it. I'm still flabbergasted, and I love you guys. So, merry meet, merry part, and may we meet again. So long, witches.